Hi guys, and welcome to the second episode of my podcast, Not Just Talk. I'm a little annoyed at the time that the podcast is coming out, and I'm so sorry. It's been a very complicated day. Believe it or not, this is my third take. The first part got deleted. The second part was just all over the place. But hey, we got there in the end. We've got the third part, and I think, third time lucky, like they say. I will probably be changing the day that I bring out the episode. It's probably best for me to record it on a day when I am baby free, because I have to tell you, trying to record this with a 17-month-old next to you or in another room is a nightmare. So yeah, I'll be having a think about what day is probably best to bring the podcast out, and I will let you know on Instagram. Okay. Now, today's topic, or conversation that we're going to be having, is based off, the title that I already probably have, as you can see in the description. It's called "It's Not Always Life's Fault." Now, I'm interested in talking about this because I think it's perfect, following up the issue about standards, to just, be a way to set the tone for the year now. If this year is going to mark a new beginning, emotionally, financially, growth-wise, even just as individuals, with helping with our mental health, and just everything else that we want to get better, or something we want to see improve, then we're going to have to, have a quick discussion about this. Look at some hard facts. Some might be a little bit uncomfortable, but just talk about what I think we need and what I think we need to be doing to be able to get to the end of this year and say, you know what, I did not just sit there and blame life. I allowed myself to take control. One thing I have to say is I'm not, oblivious to the fact that life can be hard. Trust me, I've been there. I've had my own share. Sometimes it's hard financially, hard emotionally, hard health-wise, hard relationship-wise, and sometimes it's just hard with your mental health. A lot of things are happening, you're struggling to cope, you don't know how to move yourself from that path that you are, that place where you feel like you're surrounded by all the things you don't want surrounding you. It can be difficult, but we're talking today about how to take control, take a little bit of that control. We can't control life altogether, but we can definitely control how we respond, how we react. And it's about trying to figure out how to just be the leaders in our lives, be the ones that are in control again. Now, like I said, I know life can be stressful, okay? Things can get out of control, but I had to sit down and I thought to myself, what do I have to do to change my life? And I want 2020 to end and the years to follow. So I don't want this to just be a year thing, a new year, new me thing. I want it to be, to set the trend for the rest of my life. How do I want that to be? And I thought to myself, right, it's quite simple. Your thinking has to change, okay? I thought I had to change my work ethic, my organization. I mean, God knows I'm not, I'm so organized about everything else in my life, if it's just basically everything else, my household, spot on. But sometimes I'm not organized with my plan, my focus, where am I going, what's my goal? I'm all over the place. I've got like 1,000 ideas coming into my brain, and jack of all trades, master of none. And I had to sit down and focus and think, I need to be organized. Yeah, I needed to change my ideas, I needed to work on my faith, and basically just my happiness. But most importantly, I needed to work on my gratitude tank. And I call it a tank. Why? Because it was running low. It was so filled with focusing on what you don't have, what you wish you had, what other people have, that it just takes away from you being able to be thankful for what you've got, and thinking how, this is what I have. How can I build this? How can I make this even better? Now, I knew I needed a new strategy, okay? So these are the 3 things that I am going to be working with throughout the whole year, because I think they're going to lead me. First things first, I knew my attitude had to change. and this was mentally, okay? I needed to be able to be a person who is carrying on the positivity. Now, life is not always going to hand you a chance, an opportunity to be positive, because that's life, things are hard. But I had to understand that my attitude has to be one where if I'm not being the one, affirming the positivity, I needed to be in such a great place that when bad things or upsetting things happened or came my way, I knew how to deal with them and still move on. Because that's the thing, that's the trick, isn't it? Not dwelling. Because we do that a lot, don't we? Something bad happens. Oh, you've got Snapchats about it. You've got Facebook posts about it. You're telling anyone with an ear who will listen about it, but you're not focused on how to move past it. Okay? Because like I said at the start, you can't always control life, but you can control how you respond to it. And that is what's going to take us out of these dark moments, out of these periods of being stuck, out of these places where mentally you're in a dark place, out of these places where you don't know how to push yourself to achieve whatever it is you're looking for. It's about not lingering. It's about understanding that bad things might happen, but my attitude is about moving on. Secondly, after changing my attitude, I knew the second part of my strategy needed to be strength. Because God knows we're going to need a lot of strength to move from point A, where we've been stuck in negativity, stuck in worrying, in doubt, in envy, in jealousy, to move on to a place where, and laziness, to move on to a place where we have got strength to think, I'm taking control of my mind. I think what I want to think. My mind doesn't drive me. My mind doesn't think for me. My mind doesn't control my mood, my happiness, my future, my actions. It does not make decisions for me. And the last thing, so you've got your attitude, tick. You've got your strength, tick. Now we've got the last thing, you need a plan, okay? You can't achieve anything and you cannot go anywhere without a plan. Now, I had to think, so how am I going to move forward now, okay? Financially, what is my plan? Education-wise, do I have a plan? Business plan, do I have a plan? Work, do I have a plan? Okay? I had to understand that so I could be able to then move forward. So those are the three things that I set forth for my strategy, and these are going to just set the tone moving forward. It's important to have the strength to move past what you're struggling with. The attitude to understand that it might not be easy, but it's got to be done. And lastly, a plan on how you're going to do it. You can't walk in blindly. You can't just let life happen to you. You have to be in a situation where you are some way, in some shape or form, controlling how you respond, controlling how you feel, just trying your best to come out of it. Now, we always hear the words, that's life. Life isn't fair. Life is hard. None of them are a lie, show me the lie. They're all true. However, without taking away from any hard situations, I'm talking about focusing on what I am going to call our recovery game, okay? Because it's weak right now. Our gratitude tank is empty and our recovery game is weak. And we need to be working on that. We need to be working on how, when things punch us in the face, how are we standing back up? How are we walking forward? How are we choosing how to not let that control us and be the story that our life has to tell? 3 years down the line, you're still in that same job, you hate it, you're stuck. Why? Oh, I just got this job when I was struggling and I've just not done anything. You see, you're stuck because your recovery game is weak. You're stuck in a situation where you're in an unhealthy weight and you're thinking, how did this happen? Oh, I just, I was eating and just got out of hand and I'm always stressed. I stress eat. We're affirming all the negative things and our recovery game is so weak. We're not thinking to ourselves, it's not about the gym membership. I've got YouTube. Why don't I look at some workouts? You've got the world. Why don't I take a walk? Why don't I jog? Why don't I cut down on my eating? So many things. Our recovery game is so weak. It's blocking our minds from thinking of the ways for us to be able to move forward. And we have to work on that. Now, you've got your plan. You've got your strategy, okay, which is your plan, your attitude, and your strength. Now, the next thing is, we have to stop comparisons, okay? So many of us are being led because we're in competition. We're in competition with other people who unfortunately are not in competition with us. And even if they are, you're not trying to compete with the next person because their game, their ideas, their mindset, it's not yours. We don't have the same talents. We never will. It's about focusing on yourself, focusing on your relationship, focusing on your health, your business, your game plan, your health, your promotion, your children, your family, that mortgage. It's about focusing on yourself, okay? Now, if your mindset is just about being too shy to ask, too shy to be in public, too shy to launch anything, too shy to apply for a certain job, and you're always worried about and panicking about, oh my God, what if I fail? Oh my God, what if things don't work out? Then it's not going to happen. It's not going to work, because unfortunately this new strategy we have involves a lot of hard work, a lot of taking initiative, and a lot of accountability, okay? We have to be accountable for our thoughts, our happiness, and just accountable for our lives, to think, I don't want to be stuck here. I don't want this to be my story. I don't want to just have to be like, oh, this happens to me and unfortunately that's life. Yeah, it happened, but how are you recovering? Yes, it happened, but how are you moving forward? How are you moving past that and thinking to yourself, how do I fix this? Now, I'm sat here and I'm doing research for this podcast, and I come across this statistic, and it says it takes 66 days to form a habit. Okay, that's 2 months where you're doing something consistently and constantly, and it becomes a habit, it becomes a lifestyle, it becomes how you do things. Now, if it takes 66 days to form a habit, that's bad. It can absolutely take 66 days to form a habit, that's good. The reason I'm bringing this up is you're probably sat there right now thinking, I know I need to stop procrastinating and stop being lazy or work harder for something, but how do I do that? I'm so used to living my life a certain way. You know, I'm such a Netflix binger. When I'm stressed, I just sit down and I watch Netflix. I'm a person who thinks of all these ideas, but I never do anything because I get so overwhelmed with work and family life and my health and all the stresses and all the economy. Oh, this is like that. The reason I'm talking about this is I'm saying to you, the way you started that negative habit is exactly how today we are starting that positive habit. Don't even think about it. Don't even try and meditate on it. Don't even think, oh my gosh, I'll put this to the side for a second. No, just get up, do it. Just say it right now. Tomorrow when I wake up, I'm not sleeping in and being lazy, okay? I'm getting up so that I can do everything I need to do in my day. Just think about it and say, tomorrow, I've had that idea on the side. I'm going to break it down. See exactly how this strategy works. Tomorrow, I am going into work and I am going to show my manager that I don't intend to be in this position forever. I would like to progress. You know, what progression avenues have you got? Tomorrow I'm looking up the nearest gym to me. And if I cannot afford a gym, I'm changing up the way I eat. I'm looking on YouTube because I've got Wi-Fi, and I'm going to try and find out the workouts I can do at home. Today, I am changing everything. Okay? Try and speak to yourself. You know, the way you're constantly telling yourself about all the bad things that are happening. Try it. Just try every day for the next 66 days to remind yourself of just two things to fill up in your gratitude backpack. Okay, just let that backpack be so full that you can't close the zip. Just fill it up with just 2 things you're happy about, 2 things that make you smile. And just like that, within 66 days, this becomes a habit. You've changed your mind, you've changed your mindset. You're now in the position where you're like, I'm not going to let life happen to me. I am going to choose how I react to everything that comes along in life. I'm not going to blame it on the situations around me. I'm going to understand that, yes, some people might have taken part in my sadness, or I might be guilty, but I'm not letting that hold me down. I'm going to recover from it, and I'm going to do better. Now, the reason why sometimes, you might be thinking to yourself now, what does she mean about progression? I'm not a business person. People always think that, when we talk about financial progression, we're talking about building a business. But what we have to understand is not everybody is an entrepreneur. Not everybody is a business owner. Otherwise, who's going to employ who in these businesses? We need the creative team. We need the customer service people. We need just the team leaders, the management. We need all those people. Now, I am saying in whatever calling or your idea that you've got, are you in the best place you can be? Okay, that's what my message is about today. That's what this podcast is talking about. You want 2018 to say, I was in the best place I could have been. If you're a cleaner, are you in the best situation, in the best cleaning job where you're getting paid the best rates? Yeah, are you if you think you've got leadership skills, then are you the team leader in the cleaning company? Okay? If you're customer service, if you're a manager, if you're IT, are you in the best place you can be in that position? But if you think, I actually am not a worker, I want to be a business owner, what are you doing about it? You've got a plan or an idea, but because you're too proud to ask for help or too shy to put it out there and say, guys, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm thinking, you're always going to be in the position you're in. You're always going to blame life and say, I just was worried that, you know what life is like, people talk. Oh, I was just worried, you know what life is like, people fail. And you will always tell that story, you will always sing that song, you will always rap that rap, because that is your choice. You're not choosing to move forward. And this podcast, I'm saying, let's not do that anymore. Let's not blame life. Let's, create strategies, plans on how we want to move forward, with how we want to be in the best place we can be in whatever situational level we are. We want the best for what we need. Now, if it's about enhancing your qualifications, getting extra training, stepping forward in work, working those extra hours, you have to do what you need to do to stand out in whatever area you're in. Make it so that you are seen by whoever it is has the ability to promote you, the ability to lift you, the ability to take you where you need to be. Don't be worried about people saying she's sucking up to management, or she's always putting out these things on Instagram, or she's always doing this. If you think you've put your mind to something and you want to do it, and you want to end 2020 by saying, I didn't allow myself to be in the same position, I changed my life, I detected how my life was going to be, then you are going to have to do something about it, okay? There is absolutely no chance you're going to be made team leader if every time the manager asks for somebody to take charge, you put your head down. I mean, all it's saying is you're shy, you're not a leader, and you lack confidence, and quite honestly, that you have no idea how to take charge. So you need to be able to put yourself in situations where people can see that you are that leader, you are that person who's got that idea, you are that fitness person, you're that person who's taking control of their mental health, you're that person who's allowing your relationship to be positive, you're cutting out the negative ones, and you're living a life where at the end of 2020, you feel good about yourself, and it becomes a habit, a lifestyle, and it's not just something that's short-lived, it's not something that's just, pulling you down. Now, if you've listened so far and you're thinking to yourself, it's about time I stopped blaming everything around me and did something to fulfill what my calling is, what my destiny is, then that's amazing. That means I've achieved what this whole purpose of the podcast is, because I said I wanted to do this podcast because I don't want to just sit here and talk for talking. I wanted to tell you how I think we can make ourselves better, because we can help each other as a community. You can be my family. We can talk about things and help each other and get to where we need to be. So if I've managed to get you thinking that way at this point of this podcast, then I'm glad, because, I've basically ticked 3 of the boxes of why I'm even here. Now, I always see people talking about moving forward, but remember what I said, if you've not got a plan or a strategy, it's not going to work. The plan has to start with our minds, okay? We need to be training our minds with the strategy, with the strength to just, say, listen, I'm tired of blaming life. We're all awarded some type of talent by God. What is mine? Yeah. And in another podcast, I will be talking about this just specifically. I'll be talking about, how to find yourself, how to be the best version of you, and how to understand what you're good at, and then how to work on that and build on it. Okay. Now, when you get an idea in your head which can potentially improve your life, it could be your happiness, your physical health, financially, relationships, and everything. You have to count yourself lucky. There's people out there who'll be like, I want to lose weight, but I don't know what to do. I want better relationships, but I don't know how to change my character or my mindset. I want a better income, but I don't know how to advance my qualifications, or I don't even want this job. I want other streams of income. I want to be a business owner. I want to own my own things, but they've never had ideas. on how to do that. So if you're in a situation where you've got an idea and a strategy, you have to count yourself lucky, and you better start using those ideas. You better start enhancing them and asking people, researching, telling yourself to get up and get going and stop being lazy. Make a plan, make a strategy, make today the day you think, right, if it means you want to get a journal, keep yourself accountable. I mean, I've got a journal that I've got for 2020, and every day I make a plan to write in it. It's like / a prayer / an affirmation / a motivation / just talking about what I want to do and if I've done anything today to progress myself. I might not be doing this for the rest of my life, but I'm doing it at the moment because it's keeping me accountable. It's reminding me every day that you can't slack, okay? You can't blame the economy. You can't blame not finding a job. You can't blame your husband for not supporting you. You're going to have to do something to get yourself where you need to be, okay? Someone else is looking for that initiative, that idea, that mindset, and they don't know where to start. So if you know you've got it, then you have to work on it. And if you've not got it, then you need to start thinking, how do I get it, okay? Change is not going to be easy, but we're creatures of habit. We're going to have to adjust and find a way to do it. But if you stay accountable, you can do it, okay? The best thing is to try not measure your success based on what other people have done, because that never works. We're different people, different mindsets, different attitudes. Someone else's drive is not your drive. Have you ever seen when someone starts a business, the same concept, the same idea as yours, and theirs fails, but yours works, or vice versa? Why do you think that is? That's exactly why we shouldn't compare ourselves with people. We might have the same shell, we might have the same idea, we might have the same concept, but it's about that extra thing that you have that you can do better, that extra thing you have that you can do to advance yourself. So you have to take that pressure away. You have to understand that 2020 is mine, and it's mine alone. 2020 is about my health, my mindset, and how I'm going to get myself from blaming the situation to progressing in the situation, growing in the situation, okay? Now, you know someone else's failed idea, but that doesn't mean that yours is a failed idea. I mean, someone else's bad idea could be your miracle recipe. It could be the secret to you living a comfortable life, the secret to you having better mental health, the secret to you having a better physique. You just don't know, and you definitely aren't going to know if you don't try, okay? Now, just moving on to the last part of this podcast. We've talked about the strategy, okay? We said we needed good attitude, we need strength to see it through, and we need a plan. We've talked about how we need to put ourselves out there so we can make sure that life is not happening to us. Now, the last thing I'm going to talk about is we're going to have to make some changes, okay? We're going to have to do some breaking up with laziness, with procrastination, and 100% with fear, okay? The fear of failure, the fear of other voices. I mean, the fear of the unknown. We're so scared. We don't even know what we're scared of. We're so worried, and we don't even know why we're worried. All we think is we're so consumed with those thoughts that we're failing to just move forward. The devil's speaking so loud in our ears. We're failing to just find ourselves, to know what we need to do. You know, sometimes it's deeper than just letting go of bad habits, okay? Sometimes it's letting go of people, certain relationships, you know, certain jobs, certain friendships. You know, sometimes it's about pruning those parts of your life out that you think you need to push away so you can be able to progress. Now, I am not by any stretch of the imagination saying go on right now, you know, cut your friends off, go tell your boss you're quitting your job, leave your husband, you know, or spend money you don't have on a gym membership you can't afford. I'm not saying do crazy things. That's why I said you need a plan, okay? You need to think to yourself, how do I get myself in the best place to be achieving the best stuff I can to make myself the best version of me? And it involves a plan, it involves strategy. It's not just about stepping forward and doing random things, stepping forward and being rash. It's about thinking, making sure you have the right attitude, and it will fall in place. Life will come at us throwing all the crazy things, the bottles, the glasses, the knives, but you will be in a place where you're like, life might happen, but I've got the attitude to fight it through, okay? And you need to understand that if you're going to grow emotionally, spiritually, financially, then you need to get rid of toxic relationships. Now, I'm not talking about relationships with people. I'm talking about the relationship you have with comparison, the relationship we have with fear, with doubt, with envy, with jealousy, especially when you're worried, you're so concerned about someone's path, which is not yours. You're busy there on Instagram staring at somebody who is, progressing in their business in marketing or IT or whatever it is, and it's like, you don't even know marketing, you're not a lawyer, you're not a doctor, you're not a nurse, you don't know anything about that industry. So why are you being jealous of something that you're not into, instead of focusing on something you can do, something you can achieve, something that can get you going where you need to be? We have to break up with that relationship, that jealousy, that fear, that comparison. It's the reason why you're in bed. You're spending half an hour in the morning scrolling on Instagram, looking at other people's lives, instead of grabbing a journal or making a phone call or going outside and planning your life and planning your ideas and thinking about how you want to be happier. Thinking to yourself, right, I'm feeling a bit down today. How do I make my mental attitude better? Instead, you're on Instagram looking at pictures of people smiling and being happy. You don't know they're happy. That's just a picture. The same way you've taken 1,000 pictures smiling, but you know you're not where you want to be. That's probably... It might not always be. They might actually genuinely be happy, but that's their happiness. And you're going to have to find your own and not blame life. Okay? We're going to have to find a way where we shake things up. Now, I'm coming to the end of the podcast now, and I'm hoping you've understood the direction of what I'm trying to talk about here. We need to stop blaming life. We need to be in a situation where we are saying, I'm letting go of the laziness, the procrastination, the worry, the doubt, the fear, the lack of manifesting gratitude. Okay? I mentioned these things before, and I think it's important to say them again. Our gratitude tanks are low. We are spending so much time worrying about what we don't have and where we're not, instead of focusing on what we have. And once you start doing that, you do start to progress. You get bright ideas, you get a good mindset, you get happier, you get fitter, because you're so happy with what you already have. Okay? And then secondly, our recovery game is terrible. Life is happening because that's life, okay? That's a season we cannot run from. But you're so focused on trying to cry about it, tell everyone about it, write it on the walls. I mean, you write it in blood if you could. But that's not going to change it. You know this. Ask yourself right now, when have you ever had a situation, worried about it so much, and it's changed? Doesn't happen, does it? It doesn't happen, because situations in life will always happen. But if you don't worry about it and choose to understand that, right, this has happened to me, how do I move forward? You will be in a happier place. It's a guarantee, okay? If you're choosing to move past bad things, it will happen. Now, I understand the situations where you're now in a bad place, you've got depression. It's not something you can just wake up and think, right, I'm coming out of this. But you can start to think to yourself now, how do I move from this dark place into a brighter place? It might be I'm not saying these things will happen overnight. Maybe they might take the whole of 2020. But the fact that you're thinking it, that you're working on it, that you want to do it, that's the part that I'm here for. That's the part I want this podcast to achieve. And once we set this tone, all the other topics we're going to be talking about throughout the whole of the year, these will be episodes that are applicable. Episodes that we can think, right, this does happen in life, but you know what? Because I've got a new mindset, or because I've got this new strategy, I am looking at it differently. I am dealing with it differently. So that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Please feel free to send me messages on Instagram. My Instagram is not_just_talk_podcast. I've got an account on YouTube as well, so you can stream from there. If you've got Spotify or if you've got Spreaker, that's perfect. You can also listen to the episodes on there. Send me some messages, some comments, what you'd like for me to talk about, how you think you're going to move forward in 2020 and not letting life happen to you. I want to hear all about it, all the feedback. Let's get going, guys. Take care, and I'll be announcing very soon the new date, because Monday just ain't happening.